What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to Bubba's Bottom Line, and here we are, Labor Day weekend, and crazy week last week. Of course, we kind of talked about this on last week's show. We talked about how volume could be skewed, markets could move in a big direction, and certainly nobody thought that'd be up, but they certainly were higher. I think it was interesting as we look back at we can start with last Monday. After the close, it was found that North Korea had sent a missile over Japan, and of course that created shockwaves through the markets, trashing and sending the Dow down about 200 in the aftermarket, the S&P futures down about 18. But it was interesting. It was funny because I was doing a live call, and I said, this is probably a buying opportunity. Little did I know that it would make the lows of the week and then close on the highs of the week. I think that one of the things that you look at is when are the markets going to be ready to do what they're going to do, and this is the important thing about markets is they're not ready yet. They're searching for a reason. Remember the old song, "Searching for a long time," whatever. So the markets are searching. Right? They don't have a reason. It's right now. It's not North Korea. Now, I'm taping this before the markets have a chance to react to Kim from North Korea, who's now with a hydrogen bomb, and I guess he's done some successful testing over the weekend with that as well. Now, I don't know how that's going to make the markets react. I mean, of course, we won't get a true read until Tuesday, but of course, Monday and Sunday night, we might very well see some futures reaction because the futures are going to be open. But that has to be taken care of, and why are we waiting, and is China involved? The way I look at it is this is the best thing for China as they try to take over the world themselves, right? Everybody's talking about, what's the next reserve currency going to be, the Chinese yuan. There's a lot of things going on. Of course, China is very big, but if they really were concerned, then why wouldn't they step in and take care of it? We know this guy's a nut, right? Sum Yun King, or Kim Jong-un, whatever the hell his name is, we know he's a nut, right? So what is everybody now waiting for? Are we waiting till he actually detonates a bomb on top of somebody? This is a problem, and again, we'll see how the markets react. But I guess the real question is China a part of it? In other words, they could put, or as Barney Fife used to say, they could nip it in the bud right now. But yet we continue to fight back and forth. And I'm assuming that at one point here in the next few days, if anything more comes out of there, something's going to happen. And I wouldn't be surprised if the president ordered something to take place. I mean, we know this is not going to be helped by sanctions or anything else. So could this be the event that finally drives the markets? It's hard to say. There's no telling what the markets are going to care about. We've seen the last major concern obviously was 2008, which was the housing crisis. But the last major problem was obviously 2001, 9/11. And that was the big fear. Now, are we getting closer to another 9/11 reaction? It's hard to say. But what we can say is that the overall economy, the overall market conditions are not very good. But yet, we continue to have the Federal Reserve tell us how good it is. We continue to have the pundits tell us how good it is. We continue to have everybody tell us what great shape we're in. But yet, I don't see it. Now, we just had Friday. We just had the jobs number. 156,000 jobs, 4.4% unemployment. Well, it's all well and good, except the 156,000 stinks. And just, to a note to my president, Mr. President Trump, who I voted for and I like, and I think that, is trying to do a good job. But we have less full-time jobs today than we had at the beginning of the year. So what does that mean? Well, if you have less full-time jobs, you've got less people making money. So where's the growth going to come from? How are we going to create growth when we aren't creating enough jobs. Now, another problem we have is the wages are falling. So we can talk and be happy about all this stuff all we want, but at the end of the day, it's a bunch of BS. It's a bunch of bull. It doesn't mean anything. So you can listen to the pundits, you can listen to everybody chirp how great everything is, but at the end of the day, we have problems. We've got big problems because, again, we have to create jobs. We have to create money. We have to create lending. But what are we worried about? What are we talking about today? Well, our media is talking about Melania Trump's stiletto heels. And by the way, excuse my ignorance for ignoring this earlier, but my condolences and thoughts go out to everybody from Hurricane Harvey. What a tragedy that is, and hopefully we'll get some things taken care of here. But what a tragedy that was, and how sad that, you know, it just, and what's really sad is not only the few people that lost their lives, but the people that are going to lose their homes, the ones who didn't have insurance, the ones who, you know, couldn't afford to do that. So a real tragedy, and again, I apologize for not getting to it earlier. I do it so much on my radio show that I forgot where I was. But in the meantime, what were we talking about? Melania Trump's heels, right? I mean, are you kidding me? This is what the press corps wants to talk about, that Melania Trump is wearing stilettos. So here we have this major tragedy here, and we don't talk about the things that are really important, the things that are bothering everyday Americans. You realize that many places that you can't even make a place to live because you couldn't afford to live there. So where is this all headed to? Where are we going? We see this, the markets continue to go higher. Last week we saw NASDAQ set a new all-time high. Russell up, but not new highs. S&P, Dow, higher. We continue to see bonds try to push higher, which means interest rates are going lower. Now the biggest question of the day should be, if the economy is so good, if the Federal Reserve has done such a good job, why have they not been able to raise interest rates? It's a pretty simple question. It doesn't take a rocket scientist or a brain surgeon to answer that question. Why have they not been able to raise rates? If the economy is so good, why are rates still going lower? These are issues because, again, you have people that cannot borrow money at these rates. You've got a lot of usury money going out there. A lot of people are being forced to their credit cards. Now, of course, the banks like you go into your credit card because they get quadruple the interest. I mean, a lot of the interest rates are usury rates. So if everything is so hunky-dory, why is there no rate increase? Why does the dollar continue to get pummeled? Is that still part of the currency wars, the currency manipulation? You know that Mario Draghi and the ECB is getting a little bit concerned about the strength of the euro. You know, so we have the dollar at 2-year lows, the euro at 2-year highs, whatever, somewhere around that neighborhood. You think that we're not going to do something about that? Somebody's not going to step in? You know these guys can't do anything without manipulating something around the markets. So here's this great fiat currency that is why I think we're seeing such a highlight and it's such a fire into Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. I think there's a whole chain of them now. Monero, I think, and BitShares and Bitcoin and Ethereum and Bitcoin Cash. I don't know. I don't really understand. Again, I don't really understand all the process there, but I do understand that it's becoming very big, especially when you look out into places like Venezuela. You know, if you want to know what the United States will look like in 20 years, if we continue on the path we're on, take a look at Venezuela. If you want to allow them to continue to turn us into socialists, look at Venezuela, all right? Because when you have socialism, the very few end up with everything, and the masses end up with nothing. So these are, again, major issues that may not directly affect us today, but they will have a major effect. And this is also going to affect, we now have the debt ceiling coming up at the end of the month. Now, again, I've talked about this thing almost every week. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit more challenging to do what I wanted to do right now because Hurricane Harvey's going to take, I think the number is like 600 or 800 billion. But I'd love to see it raised just enough to cover Harvey and forget about everything else. This is, again, another issue that we have here, that we don't have the overall setup done correctly. We're now set up to screw the middle class and allow the wealthy to make more money. Why do you think Warren Buffett is so quiet in here and not saying anything? Okay. In the meantime, I do think that the outpouring for Harvey was great, and I think that the guy like J.J. Watt, who had a goal to raise 200,000, he's right now at about 17 million and counting for that. And I think this is another issue when you have these charities raising. I'm hoping, I'm confident that with J.J. Watt's things and the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones gave $1 million. I'm confident that all of that's going to the hurricane relief. But I'm not so sure about some of the others, and I think there's a lot of scammers out there as well, and I think that's also a problem that we see here. But in the meantime, we're going to stop out here for a break. This is Bubba's Bottom Line, Todd Bubba Horwitz. Make sure you catch the Bubba Show every day at LibertyTalk.fm, 2 to 3 Eastern Time, and make sure that you check out BubbaTrading.com. We've got a couple of new classes starting on the 12th and the 13th. We're going to restart our hedging class, and we're also starting day trading futures. So go check those out. We're going to stop out here for a break. We'll be right back with more of Bubba's Bottom Line right after the break. Welcome back to Bubba's Bottom Line. Todd Bubba Horwitz with you. And of course, we talked hit a little bit on jobs and growth. And again, can I ask you, where's the growth? Where, other than New York or California, where's the real growth in this country? All right, where are we seeing some outstanding growth? I'm not seeing it. I see construction spending falling. Yes, we had a very good ISM manufacturing number, but I'm never so quite sure of what those numbers mean, okay? But I do know this, all right? I know that the pension system in this country is a disaster. I know that now Minnesota is talking about the disasters that they have. I know that the Central States Trucking, I know that CalPERS. Where are all these people going to turn to? Can you tell me that? When you continue to see markets going higher, where are all these people going to turn to when these pensions bust? When is somebody going to step down and say, enough? All right, we need to change the dynamics of this. These are things which we're going to talk about in our opinion piece a little deeper. But when does it stop? Okay, when companies like General Electric have trouble with their pension, all right, when do we have to set the proper regulations, all right, for funding a pension and for maintaining that pension? All right, so we'll get to that a little bit later, but you're starting to see this happen all over the place. Teachers, police, fire, all of these state-run and federally watched pension programs are a problem. And why don't we do something about it? Do we think that the problem is actually going to go away? I know that was the John Maynard Keynes theory of economics, is that if you push it far enough away, it won't return. But we all know that that's not the facts. We've got auto debt now, again, below 2007. Higher debt, lower sales. Now, they may get a little bit of a boost from Hurricane Harvey. Out of Harvey could come some good. I mean, there's no good with the devastation. There's no good with the death. There's no good with what's going on. And of course, you got to commend, I think, the Cajun Navy was pretty cool. And I think the outpouring of help was pretty cool, the people in boats and all that stuff. But out of all that bad, you might get some good economic data that'll eventually come out of there. Obviously, it's going to have to be rebuilt. If you go back in history and look at all of the wars and things, was a boom time for economies. But at the end of the day, can we continue to ignore? Can we continue to skip what's going on? And I think the answer is no. I think at the end of the day, we're going to have something that's going to have to change this. This is why we talk about the possible meltdown in the markets. You know, when you look around, what has happened recently? Well, gold finally broke out. Okay, gold is breaking out to the upside. It finally held 1,300 and pushed through it. You got oil continues to work its way lower. You've got grain markets. They finally found a little bit of a bottom, but think about this for a minute. The dollar at 2-year lows, the grains are almost at 2-year lows as well. That doesn't make sense, right? The relationship between commodities and the dollar, lower dollar should equal higher price commodities. And right now you just got them all flying down. Oil, the most manipulated product ever, and still they can't get it higher. I mean, what makes anybody think that we're gonna have a massive demand all of a sudden? And there's big things on gouging. Now, you don't think that the oil companies did a little gouging this week? You know, they talk about the refineries, okay, and how the refineries are going to be shut down, and so they're not going to be able to refine gas. Well, of course, oil went down last week, but RBOB gas went higher. Now, oil companies are notorious for raising, and then not dropping enough, and kind of artificially getting you to push up a little bit, kind of like Starbucks, right? They cry, coffee prices are too high, we got to raise. Okay, and then when coffee prices go below where they were, and they go below the lows, they don't come down. Have you ever seen Starbucks go down in price? Okay, now oil companies, again, do work that a little bit. They go up and down, but again, they never come down as far as they should. Plus the fact that all that oil they already had in the tankers that were already paid for. All right, again, I believe in my own personal mind that some of this was a little bit, a little bit of gouging. It gave them a chance to legitimately overraise prices, and it went everywhere. Okay, now again, only 20% of the refineries were down. Why did the whole country have to go up? And of course, in Chicago, oil went up about 30 cents a gallon. Now again, that's just a way of gouging everybody. All right, so when you look at this whole picture, it doesn't look right, and everything doesn't look right. We have earnings season basically is just ended, and what did we do? We've got a bunch of contraction. Yeah, earnings numbers look good. Okay, you realize though we have the highest ratio of second highest in history of GDP to the debt, and it's at 134%. It's ridiculous. Okay, you got so many things that are bad that we continue to ignore. Again, illogical. I don't understand it. I don't know where we think we're going from here. I don't know what is going. And of course, you've got debt. You've got debt everywhere, and we're now building more debt in the emerging markets. Is this magically going to go away? Okay, this is where we see problems everywhere, and then tie into all these problems North Korea. I mean, are we really going to be this delusional about North Korea? They're nuts. They're going to do something. So we need to stop them. Okay, but I think that the secret here is you've got to stop China. And that's the deal. You have to force China to stop them, and not possibly through sanctions, but you need to make it stop now. Okay? And one of the oddities this week, how about the professor who said that Texas got what they deserved? It was karma for them voting for Donald Trump. Is that, have we gone that far? Have we lost our minds that much that we now even make ridiculous, ignorant comments like that? I mean, it's like every week we've got somebody new. And why is the state senator from Missouri still in office? Why is she not in jail? Okay. Again, I don't care if you like Trump or not. It doesn't matter. If you say assassinate, you should go to jail. That would be the way. You should not be in state government. Okay. So I don't understand how we can look at all this, and yet, of course, the important thing here is that the markets go up anyways. All right. So, what are these stories telling you? Okay. they're telling you that we're piling in to the markets because there's no place else to go. Now, what happens when you pile everybody in to one side of the market? Well, we've all seen it before. This will not be a surprise when it happens again, and who knows? Nobody knows when it's going to happen. But as we come back from the holiday week, right, it's going to be a shortened trading week. I don't know what we're going to really expect to see this week, but I can tell you that there's a lot of issues out there that we're not willing to face. Jobs are brutal. Okay, you can dance and tell me how good they are all you want. Growth, yeah. Oh, they magically came up with a 3% GDP print last week. Now, let's say, how about I say BS, and we're going to find out that it was either some major shipment of one product like soybeans, which was the last time we got a print this big. It's not true growth. How do they expect it to be true growth? Okay, it can't happen. It couldn't happen that fast anyways. You've got overall a weak system, no money, people aren't making any money, they can't spend, and Amazon's trying to put every grocery store out of business now. And is that something that now goes down the toilet? Does Amazon actually get to the point where they put everybody out of business? Okay, because now you've seen they're cutting their grocery costs, because again, you know that Amazon works on the membership model, not the profit model of the goods. So again, a little bit scary. I mean, because certainly other than fresh meat, and I'm assuming there's a way to ship that as well, the base as fast as they ship. But again, it doesn't look good. And I think this is one of the problems. And this is where the inequities come in when we look at what they can do versus what anybody else can do. Because listen, what does it always come down to? Life comes down to two things. One of them is money. So we got to watch that as well. And that story will be developing. But we will check out what happens this week. And of course, we're going to go take a break here. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. Real markets, real people. And of course, we're going to come back with my opinion piece. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. Make sure you get the Bubba Show every single day, 2 to 3 Eastern at libertytalk.fm. And check out BubbaTrading.com while you're at it and see what we're doing. We provide a lot of content and a lot of free stuff for you, as well as our classes. We're going to step out here for a break. Bubba's Bottom Line. We'll be right back after the break. Todd, Bubba Horwitz. We'll see you in a 2. Welcome back to Bubba's Bottom Line. Todd, Bubba Horwitz. And, you know, we talked about this a little bit earlier, and I think it needs to be talked about. The pension system. We can start with Social Security, right? Now, Social Security retirement age is what? 65. Why is it 65? Most people want to work past 65, regardless. Why are we still at 65? When the Social Security system was put in, the average living age was 62. That's why they made it 65, that most people would die before they ever get a chance to collect. And it would help the few that did live. Why is Social Security not at 80? Right? What are we waiting for? Do we realize the pension problems that we are having here? Do we realize what's going on with all of our workers that are reliant on these pensions? First of all, Social Security, I don't know that it'll ever make it. All right? Again, why? Because you've got too many senators and too many congressmen that are career politicians that should get the hell out. All right? It's enough. You know, they're not going to vote it out because they don't want to lose that cush job. All right? You tie the mess together and what makes up the mess. You've got GE, CalPERS, Central States Trucking, the state of Minnesota. You've got the teachers unions, all running out of funding money for their pension. Now, people paid good money in. Everybody calls Social Security an entitlement. Entitled to what? I paid in the maximum every year. And if I'd have put in an IRA, the maximum that I paid that ridiculous Social Security every year, I'd have a hell of a lot more money than having to sweat it out that I'm not going to get Social Security. It's a good thing that I don't need it. But the point is very simple. All right? We have a problem because it starts, it's like a snake. You got to get the head off. Right? The head, which would be the Senate and the Congress, they will not vote out and make the appropriate changes that have to be done. You've got a Federal Reserve that every time is like Clarence in It's a Wonderful Life. Every time a bell rings, they print more money. When are they going to stop, wake up, and smell the coffee and stop with all the crap. When do we say enough is enough? This is the issue. You cannot continue to bring more debt into a system that can't satisfy the debt it has now. Do we think that that this is going to just magically disappear? Do we think that these teachers' pensions? I mean, the state of Illinois hasn't funded the teachers' pensions in 1999, in 18 years. Where are these people going to go? What's going to happen then? You know, people that work, especially state, police, fire, teachers, these people don't make a lot to begin with. They're already underpaid, and now you're going to screw with their pension. And that's right on the shoulders of Congress and the Senate. This is right on the shoulders of the Federal Reserve that allows the things to continue to roll on, where they need that artificial BS inflation that they're never going to get. It's just one big mess that until it's created and taken care of, we are going to continue to be in this delusional downfall that eventually has to end. You cannot continue to roll when all you're doing is amassing trillions. You imagine it? Trillions of dollars of debt. Okay, and what? And how is it going to ever be paid back? Where do we think we're ever going to get the growth from? Is that going to? Are we going to get the magic growing beans too? We going to call it Jack and the Beanstalk? Again, this has to be resolved. But of course, how can it be resolved when we can't even get decent things that our president is trying to get done because we can't get through? You guessed it, the IMBYs at the House and the Senate. All right. So, in the meantime, you got big problems, and these are only the ones that have been identified as problems. All right. This is going to be much bigger than we think, and God forbid we get a market meltdown, which we're going to get. Wait till you see the problems then. Okay. This is why we have to quit kicking the can down the road. This is why we have to meet it head on. And you know what? If a few people got to go to business, they got to go to business. We can't keep supporting everybody. Everything needs to be cut back down so that we can get back into a realistic system that has a legitimate chance to grow instead of the ridiculous garbage that we're seeing right now. Right? Because otherwise, we're going to have so many people that are going to be in so much trouble coming out because you've got a huge number of people going to be coming for their pensions. And there's not going to be enough there. They're going to knock on the door and there's going to be nothing there. Needs to be resolved. We need to get the Senate and Congress off their butts and get them to get out and start changing some of the ages here in which you can get your Social Security, because it only makes sense that people want to work longer anyways. That'll do it for today. This is Todd Bubba Horwitz, Bubba's Bottom Line. I always thank you for being here. I appreciate it. And we'll see you next time right here at Bubba's Bottom Line. Make sure, get the Bubba Show every day, 2 to 3 Eastern, LibertyTalk.fm. Bubba's Bottom Line. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much. We'll see you later.